my father is from Korea originally. He's half Korean, half black. His mother was a Korean woman, and his father was a black American GI. And so there was a whole generation of these mixed kids that were a product of the Korean War. And it was almost genocidal at the time. I mean, the people there had no desire for all these mixed kids, and these orphanages that a lot of them were in were really essentially trying to, for kind of lack of a better term, kind of kill as many of them off as they could, you know what I mean, so that they wouldn't essentially infiltrate their culture, and essentially dilute, their culture. And some of these kids were adopted and came to the States and other places. My father was lucky to survive that. He was actually thrown out of a window as an infant, and essentially discarded, and was brought to one of these orphanages and was raised there.
This is in Korea?
This is in Korea, right. And then so he was actually he was severely physically disabled. He essentially was born without the ball or sockets for his hips, so he essentially didn't have hips. But that also, as far as what's been said, it could have been a result of the fall from being thrown out of the window as an infant. No one's ever really been sure. And then my mother was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis as a teenager and had rheumatoid arthritis in her entire body. It was so heavily medicated, she wasn't supposed to be able to have kids. So the reason my last name is Cartier is kind of funny. My father being from Korea is, so he was a little bit too old to be adopted, but the Cartier family of East Grand Forks, Minnesota, took in my father. He took their last name. These people had 6 kids of their own and adopted or /fostered 15 other kids, right? All from other countries and all with some kind of disability. And so he took their last name. And my mother was also very, very disabled, was never supposed to be able to have kids. And they were so certain of this that they ended up adopting 2 children who are my brothers from the same village that my father's from.
Wow.
And a couple of years later, all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, my mother's pregnant. So I was essentially never supposed to exist. Whether we talk about just the unlikelihood of my father, successfully being able to, find his way to the United States and to even have any kind of life, to my mother not being able to have kids and so forth. So what keeps me grounded is knowing that the fact that I'm even here is, took a lot of different stars aligning, for me to even be here in the first place. So I feel very fortunate to be here, and I want to do as much with my time here as I can, and essentially create as much as I can, make as much of an impact on this world as I possibly can, whether that be through my art, through my daughter, through the life that I live, or just the example that I'm able to show, being able to navigate my way through, coming from a place like North Dakota, moving to the Boston area, and actually, having some form of success, however you define that. But that's essentially what kind of keeps me grounded, is I remember these things every single day, about how, about the fact that I'm even here is special.